We do have an update here from the Associated Press as well. From just a few minutes before the show started, Smollett attorney says ex-Empire actor will appeal the verdict. Jussie Smollett's defense attorney said Thursday he will appeal the former Empire actor's conviction for lying to police about the being the victim of a racist anti-gay attack. A jury found Smollett guilty, this we now know. After the verdict was read, Ooch told reporters Smollett was disappointed and that he's 100% innocent. He said Smollett's team is confident he's going to be cleared of all accusations on all charges. At a certain point, I just have to say, dude, guy, give it up, man.
Dude, man, bro.
Apologize. If he had come out and said, look, I was just trying to bring attention to, racism, and I thought people weren't listening and it was stupid, I'd have still been like, screw this guy. You know what I mean? But a lot of people probably have been like, all right, he fessed up, he admitted it. And my response typically is, okay, here's what I'll do. If you come out, admit it, and apologize, I will give you a second chance. You know why? If you don't, their only option is to go the other direction. So if Smollett does something bad and everyone hates him for it, and then he comes out and says, yo, I shouldn't have done that. It was a huge mistake. I'll say, all right, bro, I'm cool with that. Never do it again, and we're good, because I want you to keep walking towards the light and away from the darkness. Yeah. If you attack him for it and say, screw you, I'll never forgive you, he'll be like, darkness it is, and we don't want any of that.
If I was working for Smollett and I was a part of his PR team, I would have been like, okay, we're bringing the Bloods and the Crips together. We're bringing the Trump supporters and BLM together. We're going to use this opportunity to see what we have in common with each other, and we're going to have a sit down, and we're going to work our differences out and actually show that we could be civilized, humane throughout all of this, and not let political discourse ruin our humanity. That's what I would have been doing. But that would help too much people, I think.
Here's what concerns me, okay? And this is why, I was actually worried that it might be, a clean, innocent verdict, right? Because the people that are running the Black Lives Matter organization, they subscribe to a very particular kind of ideology. I mean, John McWhorter, he documents this, yes. The Columbia professor in Woke Racism, his new book, that he sees it as a religion, right?
I agree.
And the idea is, correct, right, that their perspective on innocent is because of who he is, he's innocent. It doesn't actually matter what he did, right? And this is a really disturbing way to think about the world, right? When you really think about it, right? And then of course, other people will be structurally innocent. Some people are structurally innocent. Some people are structurally guilty, and you don't. This is why, you asked earlier, you said, hey, well, this doesn't make any sense. But to people that are real believers, right, in the elect, as John McWhorter calls them, they actually they think it works that way.
Kind of makes me think of Christianity and how, if you accept Christ into your heart, you go to heaven, and if you don't, you go to hell. I always never got that. It's like, so it doesn't either. I just I'm in the club or I'm not in the club. It doesn't matter what I do. That doesn't make any sense to me. So it sounds like Black Lives Matter has adopted that mentality.
Well, there's no forgiveness in their cult, as you brought up very eloquently. When you are wrong, when you are the person that's deemed someone as evil, someone who is institutionally hurting people, there's no coming back from it. Even if you apologize, you even get attacked by them even more.
And apologies are an admission of guilt. So this is the problem. I don't know if everybody agrees with me on forgiveness, but I think you have to have that forgiveness. There has to be the capability for someone to come back to the light. They don't. And that means we, on the side of forgiveness and understanding and logic and reason, are at a huge disadvantage. There's pros and cons, I suppose, but they're willing to burn it all down. Let me pull up these tweets we have from Defiant L's.
Oh, yes.
We have Joe Biden on January 29th, 2019 at 8:31 p.m. I mean, this is basically like the day the news came out that he did this. Joe Biden, without looking into anything, says, what happened today to Jussie Smollett must never be tolerated in this country. We must stand up and demand that we no longer give this hate safe harbor, that homophobia and racism have no place on our streets or in our hearts. We are with you, Jussie. And then they attach this one. New York Post, Jussie Smollett guilty of staging race-baiting hate attack to boost career. Yes. Then we get Kamala Harris. She said, Jussie Smollett is one of the kindest, most gentle human beings I know. I'm praying for his quick recovery. This was an attempted modern-day lynching. No one should have to fear for their life because of their sexuality or color of their skin. We must confront this hate. And then Josh Kaplan, jury finds actor Smollett guilty on 5 counts. Yeah, we get it. So I'll say this. I would be willing to forgive some people, but probably not Jussie Smollett. Why? Because he is a notorious cult leader among this non-theistic religion. That's probably not even fair to say. It's a cult. I would not be forgiving Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. Because at a certain point, it's like, look, if you do something bad, and then you get caught and you fess up and say, I shouldn't have done that. It was wrong of me, but I thought it was a path to wealth and fame. And now that I got caught and it's threatening to me, I'm like, I'm going to try and stay away from that stuff. I'll be like, hey, look at that. That's honesty, right?
Yeah.
Kamala Harris, man, how often does she lie? How about when Kamala Harris tried keeping people in prison, denying them parole, so she can use them as slave labor to fight wildfires? There's not a person I'm going to forgive because these people are evil. Joe Biden, too.
Her staff is also resigning in record numbers, saying that she's scolding them to the level where it's bringing on PTSD for many people within her office. People are just scared of her. And there was this one tweet from this one poor worker inside of the White House saying, hey, for the record, I work for Kamala and everything's great. And it looked almost like the exact version of that cartoon with fire all over him saying everything is fine. It was absolutely incredible. But these are the people that we're dealing with. People who are hard-headed, people who believe in themselves, people who, no matter what, will do anything for power. And that's exactly the game that they're in.
Let's be fair, too. Are the people who are quitting Kamala Harris's administration, or what you would call it, because she's mean, are they millennials?
I'm not sure. I have to see exactly the 4 staff members that left because there's other complaints from inside. So it has to be a broad range. It can't just be young millennials.
I think that would be an important factor here because I'm wondering how much of this is the coddling of the American mind. Is
Indeed,
that what
yes.
You've got these young people who are like, Kamala came in and she was upset that I accidentally put the wrong cream in her coffee. And Kamala's like, oh, hey, I asked for 2 cream. Could you get it fixed for me? And she went, oh, and just freaked out. And you think I'm exaggerating too, but these people claim microaggressions are violence and stuff like that. So for all we know, Kamala is doing something like, excuse me, I told you to bring the packet upstairs. Could you please get it done? And they freak out and they're like, I can't work here.
So based on the fact that she literally kept people in prison for longer so they could fight fires for pennies
when
on the
she
dollar.
knew they were innocent.
Exactly.
No, well, not you're mixing 2 stories there. I'll make sure we're very careful.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
There were people who were about to be released on parole, and her office argued they should stay so they could be used as slave labor. There was another individual she knew was innocent, and they tried withholding the evidence to stop them from getting released. I believe, I could be wrong about that last one.
There's another Fox News story that says Kamala Harris staffers leaving White House in part because they fear being labeled Harris person. Report. This is so that's other articles out there. But the ones that I saw was scaring people, scolding them, destroying their souls, which would make sense from a state prosecutor that has been absolutely ruthless throughout her entire career and literally knowingly put innocent people behind bars. So I think there's that.
There's still an opportunity. Tim, you talk about, this opportunity for redemption, forgiveness. This is an incredibly important feature. And you're very right to say, by the way, that this is absent in the woke ideology or woke religion. But, perhaps both the president and the vice president can, seeing this guilty verdict can say, hey, look, we were wrong.
They're not going to do that, though. I mean, come on. It's the weirdest thing that it's not the weirdest thing. It's just it's frustrating that something can happen with someone on the right, and the people on the right will throw them out the window in 2 seconds. Like if you look at what happened with the George Floyd incident, every single person in the country immediately jumps on board. And admittedly, so did I. I was like, that was wrong. We watched what happened.
Didn't look good.
And then later we start getting more and more details, and we're like, okay, so it was kind of a bad situation, but it wasn't as cut and dry as we initially thought. The left doesn't do that. I mean, we had that poll yesterday from Axios that young Democrats are substantially more intolerant than young Republicans. So this is a recurring trend that is setting freedom-loving individuals at a disadvantage. We're willing to forgive. We're willing to be tolerant. But the establishment liberal types, Democrat types, they're not. Jussie Smollett comes out. They jump up and they scream all to high heavens and demand. And what do conservatives do? Well, not all of them, but enough of them will be like, we should recognize this was bad. We'll see how it plays out. How do we function if they're willing to lie, cheat, and steal? And then I'll throw it to Waukesha. When a car, an SUV, commits this atrocity because it gained sentience and somehow decided to take these, it was just like destroy all the humans. No, I'm kidding. But when we get a man with black nationalist sentiment on Facebook and support for Black Lives Matter, and he commits this atrocity, the media drops the story overnight. Yet, rest assured, if there's a conservative or right-wing person, it will be nonstop press. Like, we had a guy go to the ICE facility. We had 100 days of violent rioting and firebombing of a federal building in Portland. And the media is like, the insurrection was January 6th. I don't know if it matters, to be completely honest, because I think people see through it.
I think you're right. No, actually, I think that's what I was thinking. I think that's the point. I think there's all these people. I mean, I keep talking to people. People keep writing. We get tons of mail at Epoch Times for the show, for the whole paper and everything. And we have a ton of people that basically say, I feel politically homeless. I've heard mugged by reality. I've heard politically homeless. I've heard, I don't recognize, I am a Democrat, but what's happened, right? Like I don't get what some of the people, and then there's this large group of people that are just kind of afraid to say anything because they'll get attacked in the way that conservatives tend to get attacked, right? So it's interesting. Like we kind of say, Democrats or liberals, but I think it's not as big a group as we think.
I used to, a few years ago, I actually cared. And I think there's a correlation between when CNN stopped reporting the news and me not caring what these people think anymore, to a certain degree. So I remember I would have CNN on all the time, and they'd be reporting the news, and then they'd have their stupid anti-Trump stuff. But I was like, whatever. And then one day I noticed they weren't reporting major news. It was like protests in Iran or something. And so I changed the channel. And then from that point on, more and more, you turn on CNN and it would be a panel about Trump. And I was like, there's no news here. And so it wasn't this conscious decision where I was like, CNN has lost the plot. It was kind of like, I'm looking for the news about this big event. I can't watch CNN. So at that point, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, people who watch this are detached from reality. But that brought me to a point where I was like, I need to inform people what's true and what's not true because CNN is lying and MSNBC is lying. Now I'm at the point where I'm pretty sure nobody believes them. I mean, the people who do may be too far gone or lost or whatever, they're still worth talking to and trying to communicate with. Hey, share this video. Maybe you can help reach some of them. But it's funny, like when I'm on Twitter and I see some of the things these people tweet, and it's just laughably false stuff. Wrong. And at a certain point, I'm like, what do you even say to someone who believes the opposite of reality? They believe you believe the opposite of reality, but clearly we don't. I don't know.
And you're not even being hyperbolic. CNN has headlines that literally read why inflation can actually be good for everyday Americans and bad for rich people. So when you have that level of kind of inversion of reality, of the truth, I mean, there used to be a point where I used to watch them and I just recognized this is extremely bad for your mental health. But they used to be somewhat okay, especially when it came to breaking news, and it wasn't that overt. But it came to a point where it's disgusting. It's just like you take nasty food and you want to throw it up. My mind is wanting to throw up every time I put on CNN because it's just so disingenuous and it's so disrespectful for any intelligent person that's even paying a little bit of attention to what's going on to understand that what they're saying is absolutely delusional and crazy.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.